you reckon we can start it up?
I think we should. Go for it.
Maybe some revs?
Yeah. Lift a little bit. There we go.
Ah, there we go. 6 foot flames coming out the back of that. Christian, we need to stop shopping at the same clothes shop.
Right, yeah. I guess this is still a building site and Sweden is pretty strict on rules, so we can't just roam around here freely until they give us the key, you know, so we have to follow the safety rules.
Of course, so we are in the new Koenigsegg factory. This is where the Gamera is going to be built, among lots of other exciting things that are going on. We will talk about that at the end, but first I want to focus on this incredible thing. So I actually got a chance to say hi in Monterey for Car Week at the Quail,
right?
But you were being swamped.
It was crazy. It was very crazy. I mean, we didn't know what to expect. This is kind of homage to our beginnings. It's very naked, simplistic, the kind of original idea of a Scandinavian supercar. And we felt that this is a good opportunity to kind of imprint the origins of Koenigsegg one more time, but taking it into the future with modern technology and improved ergonomics and whatever safety and all of aspects. And the response was just staggering. We were shocked, actually. So.
I can tell you the response in the Top Gear office when we saw it was staggering. Everyone fell off their chair when we saw it. Looked so good. We knew Jesko underpinnings, this manual gearbox concept, which we'll come to in a minute. But first, tell me about the name, because that helps tell a bit of the story of the car.
Yeah, so it's already a twist on the name, the twist on a twist in a sense. So the first car we ever produced and delivered the first car to a customer in 2002 was a CC8S, competition coupe, 8-cylinder supercharged. It took the Guinness World Record for the most powerful homologated production car in the world with 655 horsepower.
Whoa, 655!
Exactly, now that's bread and butter. So that was a great starting point for us. So we said, let's celebrate that car, make a homage but in a modern take, and make 50 of them. And there is no supercharger in this one, there's twin turbos, so we call it the CC850. And I also turned 50 this year. So it was kind of a good number, thank you. Good number, well, celebrating a little bit of that, celebrating 20 years of production and making 50 of them. But the interest was enormous, and we got some kind of loyal Koenigsegg customers come and say, I didn't even have a chance to get one, and this is like really annoying. And so yeah, sorry, we didn't realize this kind of attention we would get. So very quickly, within 2 days, we came up with a little twist that we quickly cabled out, saying, okay, 50 for my 50th birthday, and then another 20 for celebrating 20 years of production. So we're actually doing 70 of them, and still there was a long queue of people who could not get in.
Yeah.
But at least we could get some loyalists and some other in that.
Great. So you don't have to change the name to CC870.
And we're not doing that.
No, that would be one too far. So talk to me. So the design, it was fantastic. I remember the moment in the Quail. So I came around the corner, I saw it. Really, at first glance, it really does look like that original CC8S. But then you get closer and you see the detail, and you go, oh, this is like a futuristic remake.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger car. It's longer wheelbase. It's a little bit taller. Proportional wise, it's quite similar. But I mean, the original car had 18-inch wheels in the front and 19 or 18 with very big tires in the rear, a little bit like a McLaren F1. But now it's a 20 and 21-inch, 2,700 millimeter wheelbase, and of course the latest Jesko technology underpinnings. So it's not one nut or bolt, it's the same, but the impression is very similar.
Were there any problems with the aerodynamics? Because obviously you were trying to make it hit that original shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously it needs to stick to the road and have stability and all of that stuff.
So the aerodynamics of the original cars were very good. First of all, from a drag perspective, we were like 0.28 in drag CD, so that was super low. But they didn't have so much downforce. They were quite neutral from that perspective. So here we worked more with a proper splitter, letting air out from the front wheels at the lower point there. We have vents in the bonnet that we managed to wrap around the luggage space so we can still get the roof in. We have this integrated rear wing, top-mounted active, fully active rear wing, which we pioneered on the Regera. So this is a version of that, and that of course gives much more downforce and braking stability at high speed. We have a much bigger diffuser,
Yeah.
and some tweaks and details everywhere. A little bit more air outlet around the rear wheel.
It's beautifully integrated. You wouldn't even know this was here, this spoiler. It just sits totally flush with the rear deck.
So we wanted to really hide it, as that's the original car did not have a wing. So, but when you go fast, it pops up and helps.
It's kind of necessary, right? And the engine, so the Jesko engine.
Yeah, a little bit over 5 liter, twin turbo V8s, same as the Jesko.
Yeah.
But it's slightly different turbo configuration, as this is a manual car as well.
Yeah.
Not that the Jesko has like any noticeable lag, but with the manual you want nothing of it. You want to have it feeling like a normally aspirated car. And our original supercharged CC8S, it had no hump either.
Yeah.
With a lot of power back in the days. So it's slightly less power than the Jesko. It's 1 megawatt, and the same, 1 megawatt is 1360 horsepower. And
that's on the 85?
Yes, exactly. That's on the 85. And yeah, the weight, curb weight is the same number. So it's a 1-to-1
it's a 1-to-1.
ratio.
Which is, that's seriously fast.
Yeah, and so I think on normal petrol it's a little bit over 1200, so it's not laggard.
It's not slow. So it runs on E85. Does it have smaller turbos? Is that how you?
Yeah, slightly smaller
lag?
turbos. Yeah, exactly. So a little bit less boost, a little bit less inertia. So better response.
Fantastic. And the triplex suspension. So we want to get really nerdy here, Christian, and tell people. So this is the same setup as the Jesko Absolute?
Yes, very much so. It's very, very similar. It's almost identical to the Jesko Absolute setup on suspension.
So this triplex damper but no spring.
Exactly. So it's a heave controller more than anything.
Yeah.
To maximize takeoff grip. It's got this active suspension in ride height and bump and rebound. So when you set it up for track, it's still pretty firm, but then you can have a really comfortable ride on the normal road.
And it feels like more of a street car, this one, than the Jesko, which certainly the Jesko Attack, which is high downforce, super aggressive.
I mean I think it's 3 times stiffer suspension setting on the Attack with all that downforce.
But all Koenigsegg's should have a certain level of trackability as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of fun on the track, and of course with less aggressive tires, a little bit softer setting, it's very driftable. There is no ragged edge to it. It's just very, very friendly.
And I forgot to say, of those, originally 50, now 70 cars, you're going to keep the first one for yourself.
Yeah, well, this is mine.
This is yours?
Yeah, this is mine.
This is your birthday present.
It's of course the first show car. It's the first one we built. It will need to be upgraded through the development program, but this is the one I'm going to keep.
This is the one. We've been alluding to that manual gearbox, which is just such an exciting idea. Why don't we see if we can take the roof off the car?
Yeah.
We'll place that to one side, and so we can get a really good look in the cabin. And then we can sit in and you can tell us everything you know about this manual gearbox. Right, tell me what I need to do to get this roof off.
So I will open the doors first.
Okay. He's doing this all from the key fob, by the way. We're not touching a thing. Hands free.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, here comes my door.
And then the roof is manual. It fits in the front. We can open the front and show that as well. So that's a tradition of Koenigsegg cars. You have this coupe shape. It is no drawback or giveaway that you actually can take off the roof. If you look at all the split lines, there is no extra split line or jump or hump or weirdness because it's a Targa top. It's all fully integrated. And then when you lift it off, you get really a roadster.
Have you got the whole thing?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, look at the strength of the man.
You guys.
To be fair, it weighs a few kilos.
It's like 7-8 kilos.
It's not very heavy at all, is it? And you can store it in the front?
Yeah, you can store it absolutely
you can store it in the front.
Yeah,
you just don't have the special bag to...
Yeah, I want to put it in the bag, so
cool.
Doesn't scratch. But so now you have very much a roadster or convertible or whatever you want to call it.
Do you want to get in the driver's seat?
Yeah, sure.
And I'll sit next to you?
Absolutely.
That is the bit that you're not expecting. So start from the beginning. So the light speed transmission.
Yes, so
That's-
that we introduced for the Jesko. So it's our novel complete retake on a fast shifting paddle shift gearbox where we managed to remove a lot of components by compounding gears. So it's kind of like a derailing mechanism on a bike that you take one gear times another and get a total. So it's 3 times 3 gears, creating 9 gear ratios instead of having 9 gears or 8 gears. So it's the weight and size of a 6-speed, but you get 9 gears out of it.
And you have 6 clutches. 7
Yes.
for
Well,
reverse.
one for reverse and then one for each gear set. So yeah, and that also means we don't need a clutch on the engine. And when we don't have a clutch on the engine, we don't need a flywheel on the engine. So we get the fastest revving engine or RPM buildup that we have seen on any production car as a result of the gearbox not needing a flywheel or clutch on the crank.
So you'd say, was this where did the idea begin? Did it begin at, could I create a gearbox that didn't need a flywheel? Or was it about fast shifting, or the fact that you can go from one gear to any other gear?
It kind of started out with how do we get more gears with less components and less weight.
Okay.
And then this no flywheel was a bit of an experiment. We realized we don't need a clutch there, but we might need a flywheel for the behavior of the car and the engine. But we said, let's try without it. And we started simulating. The engine was fine from a kind of harmonics perspective. And the drivability was super exciting because it's just electric response. So we managed with software to kind of catch it. I mean, it's much more of a wild thing when you don't have a flywheel to calm it down.
Yeah.
So we have to electronically make sure it doesn't just go wild.
Well, I had a chance to drive briefly the Jesko Attack in Monterey, just on the road. And you're right, the way that engine revs, it feels naturally aspirated, it sounds naturally aspirated. You don't notice the turbochargers really.
No, it's amazing. I mean, the sound of the engine is just what it wanted to be. We have not done any sound tuning, and not that we don't mind doing it if we have to, but it just naturally sounded amazing, so we just kept it. And it does sound normally aspirated for some strange reason.
It sounds angry.
Yeah,
It sounds very angry.
and it's responsive, and it's just alive. It's the most alive feel of an engine I've ever experienced. So
Is it peak combustion engine? I know you're working on the 3-cylinder for the Gamera, but you know, this is the ultimate. You've got all the torque, all the power, all the response.
I haven't felt any engine as exciting as this one. And I've driven like really exciting V12s. This is just something different and unique and exhilarating beyond anything I've experienced. So, yeah.
Okay, back to the gearbox. So the amazing Lightspeed transmission you just said, you then wanted to make it even more complicated by turning it into. So I've been referring to it as a simulated manual. Is that fair?
Well, it's kind of not unfair, but it's a lot going into it to make it act like a directly connected clutch and shifter. So, for example, when you're driving, you can't just put the gears in without the clutch, of course. There is a detent. And if you're coming from a too high gear, it won't allow you to push in until there is a closer rev match. When you're in gear, you can only pull it out without the clutch if you are not under load and rev matching. And if you move it really fast, there is more resistance like you would have with the synchronizations. And if you push the clutch really fast, there is more resistance as you would have with the hydraulic lines going back there. So it is, yes, augmented, but it's augmented in a way that all the kind of aspects of an analog shifter is considered. And on top of that, the clutch pedal, I mean, if you think of a throttle, it normally in old cars they had a wire or a cable or something like that. But since 20, 30 years ago, it's all electronic. And the clutch pedal normally has a mechanical rod, or more modern cars they would have a hydraulic line. But that's the same thing they did with the throttle we did with the clutch pedal. So we are actually making sure that the clutch pedal, when you move it and the pressure you feel, it's direct one-to-one with the pressure on the clutches back there. So you can stall it, you can slip it, you can move backwards and forwards because we are not intervening. So there is no difference in sensation, like there is no difference in sensation to speak of with an electronic throttle.
Exactly. Wow. And you've got this exposed linkage down here, so you've got all that visual excitement with the gearbox.
And the advantage of doing this, then you can say like, okay, it would be more theoretically puristic if it was a linkage to the gearbox, but that would remove the chance to have a lighter gearbox, like we have more gear ratios with fewer gears. Also, it would not allow us to have no flywheel or clutch, so the engine would be more sluggish. So we can have a manual with the fastest revving engine with this system. And we can have varying gear ratios depending on which slot you're in, as we have 6 manual slots and 9 gear options. So for example, on track, first gear is a taller gear than on road, so you have a tighter gear set following there, because you're just driving out of the pits. You will not cook your clutch, just getting out of the pits.
So when you go in track mode, these ratios actually
change.
Adjust.
Exactly. Wow. And then of course when you're on the highway, you go over here, and you go over here, and then you have a 9-speed auto, which is another unique feature that you could not have with a traditional analog manual. So
and also, look, you're talking about this physical linkage, and then you'd need a flywheel, but it's not the Koenigsegg way. The Koenigsegg way is to experiment and push boundaries and produce technology that other people might shy away from. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. So we can have this very, I mean, all our cars are OTA upgradable. So we're starting out with this very analog, non-intervention manual system. Just replicating what it would do. You can burn your clutch if you want and stall the car or whatever. But we could over time kind of send, okay, a little bit beginner manual mode where we, like if you do some not great stuff, we smooth it out, we can rev blip and this and that. We can just add features over the air.
Can I feel the action?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, open gate manual, yes.
When it's on and active, you get more resistance and so on. Now it's just parked. So
it feels fantastic. And where are you with the development of this?
I would say this is a sample. I would say it's more than 80% level of being like ticked off. We're doing some tweaks, some sensor improvements, but it's we're already driving around with it. It's already fun. It's already great. But you can always push a bit further, and we're not going to deliver these cars for another year or so. So. Therefore, we have time to just make that little extra effort as well.
So, we need to talk about the space we're in now. So, the Jesko, we had a tour of the factory. There obviously customer cars are now being built in the original factory over there.
Absolutely. Which is connected to this one.
Which is connected to this one, yeah. But this new space, I'm told it's going to be ready for the machinery to be installed by March.
Yeah, I think a little bit earlier maybe.
Really?
I mean, they're on schedule with the building, which is amazing, and maybe a few weeks ahead. So I think latest March we're putting in the machine.
Fantastic. So, and tell me, what will be happening in this new building then?
So mainly this is the Gemera production plant for the 4-seater, which is the highest volume car we've ever endeavored to do.
How many can you build a year?
So good question. We're setting up this facility to be capable in itself to do 1 car a day, but there are other aspects making it probably not going to be 1 car a day for some years. There is the supplier network. We have to make all the carbon fiber parts. Customers tend to go wild on specification, which tends to slow things down. But we invested in this facility to be capable as a facility and with the personnel to get 1 car out a day. So I think for the first year it will be like 1 car every 2.5 every 3rd day or something like that. And
so maybe 100 cars, over 100 cars in the first year.
Yeah, absolutely, something like that.
But you're used to building 30 to 40
Correct.
a year, so
yes.
this is
a
big step.
Percentage-wise, it's huge, and it's like if you have a normal car company doing 100,000 cars, and suddenly they're going to do 300,000 cars. This is the similar step for us on our level. So. Still very few, of course, but everything is handmade and bespoke, and so that's the challenge.
But it's so exciting. Haldora was giving me a tour earlier, and it's not just the factory, it's the opportunity to build all these amazing spaces over there for your customers and for events. And
specification lounge, customer area, a little bit museum, and then we have a big space to do unveils for a couple of 100 people. And then actually, I don't know if you talked about it as well, there's a new design studio we decided 2 weeks ago, which there was an available space up in the corner of 1,000 square meters. So
It's like a brand new start.
yeah, it's exciting.
It's a brand new
It is
start.
exciting.
Yeah. Wow. So 28 years ago you started this company.
Yes.
20 years ago you produced the CC8S.
We delivered the first customer car.
Did
yeah.
you think you'd be here, standing in this enormous space?
Well, of course I couldn't foresee exactly this, but you know, I never limited my thinking to what it could be. I knew I was going up against giants. I knew it was not going to be easy. I thought I'll build one car, hopefully someone likes that. I'll build another one, hopefully someone likes that. And who knows where that will go, you know. I will keep on doing that. That was the plan. So in my mind when I started, it could be like maybe I'll make 5 cars, 1 car, maybe it's 500 or 500,000. I have no idea. I'll just keep on going and see where it takes me, you know.
Do you know what I love? It gives me another excuse to come back and see you at the factory in March or the middle of next year,
Yes.
when this place is up and running, and I can't wait. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much,
Good to see you.
Christian.
Thank you for coming.